Welcome back to Tactical Pontoon. I'm James, and tonight is pretty cool. Or this video is pretty cool. It is finally time for me to talk about the Tactical Pontoon triggers as they're about to come out for sale. They're here. If you followed this channel at all, probably haven't, but if you have, I've talked about them in the past. There have been setbacks. I've said, oh, I'll be ready in 2 weeks. You know, a few more weeks, we're almost there. But as of right now, they are here. I've got some test triggers out there. Got Roger over at Regular Guy Reviews. He's had his for 2 weeks now. Put some rounds through it. I think he said like 400 rounds. No issues whatsoever, which I honestly, you know, if I was going to send it out, it was going to be ready. I've put that many, if not more, through my own versions before I sent it out. The next person would be Matt Hale at Excel Weapon Works. I mean, that guy, you probably, you know, check him out on Instagram. Same with Roger. Both of them, excellent. They've had, so far, nothing but good things to say about them. So check those guys out. I'll see about putting a link here, but more than likely it will be on my website, TacticalPontoon.com. Still in work. It is there, so go check it out. As of right now, I'm still using YouTube, unless, of course, you're watching this video on another platform, then obviously I'm not. But that aside, still looking for another platform. Registered for full 30. We'll see if that pans out. So there it is. Let's get back to our main topic. My triggers. After I say one thing, gotta love the shirt from Michael over at United R&D. That guy, I mean, he did this slide. He's got another one of my slides, and the dude is just awesome. I can't thank him enough. Really, a Cerakote services off the charts. You know, I say it a lot. Check his Instagram. Check my Instagram. I link a lot of his stuff just because he does excellent work. So, that out of the way, let's get back to triggers, because more than likely you're seeing this video not because of how awesome I am, but because you may have seen one of my triggers in somebody else's videos, or you caught something on Facebook or Instagram or something. So let me explain what my trigger system is. Number one, this is a modified Apex tactical shoe. It is not a proprietary shoe. It's not a factory shoe. And as of right now, the Apex is what I use. In the future, I could switch over to something else or add some options. But for now, the Apex just is the one that works the best. And because I'm not a Cerakoter, and because I modify these actual shoes, I literally have to take this entire shoe apart, meaning the safety has to come out, the spring, and I actually, here's the secret, here's what I do. I modify the fulcrum point of this trigger. If you know anything about levers, and if you don't, you really need to look into it. It's pretty neat stuff. I mean, I've taken the time. When I first got into this, you know, I knew the Glock trigger was not the best. I knew that it could be improved upon. And so I watched the 25-cent trigger job. I polished until, I mean, they sparkled. I played with with little edges here and there, and I took the little hump, the where it contacts the safety button. You know, I played with all of that stuff, and I got decent results. I put the connectors in, I changed different springs out, but I never was completely happy. I mean, I've ruined firing pins, or strikers, if you will. I've ruined trigger bars, over polishing or taking a little bit of material off just to see if I could get that little bit of edge that gave me the feel that I wanted. I've tried different trigger shoes. Have I tried them all? No. Haven't tried an agency. I would like to try an agency. I'd like to get one of those in, see what I can do to it. CMC, really wanted to like that. I really wanted that one to be awesome, but I had a little bit of a failure with that one while I was trying to do my stuff to it. Kinetitech, that was actually my first shoe because I am a bit of a cheapskate. I really am. I hate to say it, but tried the Kinetitech first. It felt good. I enjoyed it, but there was still more to be had. I've had a SSVI tier, beautiful trigger. I ended up selling it to kind of help fund the next phase of my own stuff. I didn't want to play with that one. It was just too beautiful, and maybe in the future it will be something I'll offer, because aesthetically that is my favorite trigger on a Glock. So anyways, one thing I would like to say, when it comes to trigger shoes, mostly it's about aesthetics. I've tried a lot of the different ones out there, as I just said. Really, aside from aesthetics, they're not much different from a factory trigger, except for, you know, where your finger placement is, which does change how you perceive the pull of the trigger and the weight. So it does make a little bit of a difference. It does change your leverage a little bit, but without actually changing the pivot of the trigger, you're not really changing your leverage. And the if you measure these guys, and a lot of my friends who have like the agency, what's the other one that's some of those guys really love? It's the swag. Why do they? Ranger proof swag. Why swag? Anyways, you know, I had them measure for me since I didn't have one. Did a couple different measurements, and what I found out overwhelmingly was the triggers all use the factory points, the factory pivots. There is room to literally get a little bit more leverage, and by having more leverage over your trigger, you change the weight of your pull. Now, by changing that point of where the trigger rides, by changing that fulcrum point, you also, on the trigger shoe, you have to change the fulcrum point on the trigger bar, or things become very misaligned. So, that's kind of the secret in a nutshell. I changed the fulcrum point, which changes where the trigger rides. This mainly messes with the trigger pull, but because of how things move in there, it actually makes the trigger bar ride just a little bit closer to the connector, which reduces trigger pull, your initial pre-travel, if you will. So, that's kind of the secret behind what I do. Now, that is fairly labor intensive, and to get that right, has taken some time to get right where, because if you move it just a little bit here, a couple hundred, or not a couple hundred, but a couple thousands here or there can actually ruin that trigger shoe or even make it unsafe. I will say, I have had plenty of blood, sweat, tears, and a desk pop. Big mistake. But it happened in getting this right, because before I send it out, I want to make sure it's good. And that's where I've been. So, to get it right has taken some time. Can you do this yourself? Yes, you probably could. I mean, I have shoes with holes in them all over the place. I've got ruined shoes from, I got 3-4 ruined Suarez shoes. I've got some ruined Apex shoes, a ruined CMC shoe, tons of Glock triggers, the plastic trigger shoes with holes in them, because if this has been literally a very trying process to get it just right. And I believe I'm there. I know I'm there. So that's where we're here to talk about today. The Tactical Pontoon Elite series of triggers. As of right now, there's basically 3 models, and I'm going to go through them right now. I'm going to kind of show them to you. They all look the same. They're all going to be the black Apex shoe, because this is a labor-intensive process. Sometimes they get a little scratched while I'm doing my work, and I paint them. I'm not a Cerakoter, and black paint just works. So if you're wondering why black is the only option right now, that's the reason. Okay, perhaps in the future we'll get a little better at the, make it pretty. You can have purple, or you can have blue, or whatever. So we'll look at that in the future. But for now, it's black. We have every color that you want, as long as you want black. This is about performance. You know, I am a person who believes in aesthetics, so I understand. But for now, it's a black trigger shoe. Enjoy it. Alright, what we have here is what I call, this is the level 1. This is what I call, and these triggers that I'm about to show you are actually pre-production models that don't have the little safety dingus due to a little issue I had in the initial stages of production, because of the where the fulcrum point comes in actually gets close to or in the way of the trigger dingus spring assembly. So these guys don't have the little trigger dinguses because I hadn't quite perfected that yet. They are now on new ones. All that ship out do have the trigger dingus. So you will get your dingus, I promise. Anyways, here we have in my personal carry gun what I call the Elite Carry. This is the Tactical Pontoon Elite Carry. This is the base model. This one uses just my modified factory trigger bar and the Apex trigger. Inside, you will use your factory connector. You can use a basic drop-in Ghost. I don't really recommend the drop-in Ghost. I don't really recommend the Zev 3.5. I might say the Glock Dot connector, but really, I'm not a fan of most of your 3.5 pound connectors, because they actually make the trigger pull longer, and I've always felt that they were a bit mushy. I do recommend a connector, and we're going to see that next. That is part of one of my other packages. So, what we have here in my carry is the Tactical Pontoon Elite Carry, which, go figure, it's a carry gun. All factory components. This guy will kind of show you right here. Got a little bit of take up, as the Glock does, and then let's see, just a nice clean break. Pretty sweet. And let's look at it. Still has the very audible reset. You know it's reset. It's a little bit longer than the next stage up, but overall it's very clean, and it pulls at, you're going to break at, that's the first pull, 4 pounds, 4.3 ounces. .87, and for the third one, up the camera there. Well, that one was a little low at basically 4 pounds. Let's go one more, because that one just is kind of a fluke. I may have pulled a little bit too quick. Alright, 4.73. So really, you're looking at about 4.5 ounces, let's call it 4.5 pounds, for a trigger that has the factory connector. Now, me personally, I find that to be a very good weight for something that I'm carrying with me every day. It's not too light, it's not too heavy, it's very smooth, and that guy right there is my base package. What that comes with is just the shoe and the trigger bar. It will literally, this one's in 2 pieces, but it's going to come like that. Just the trigger bar and the shoe. That's the Elite carry. Beautiful setup, far and above superior to the factory Glock trigger, and superior to, in my opinion, in what I've used. I really do love triggers. It's definitely far and above what you're going to get with somebody's basic trigger shoe and a drop-in connector. Next up would be what I call the Elite Marksman. This is the TacticalPontoon Elite Marksman setup. This is the same trigger shoe, the same trigger bar. However, this includes a 4.5 pound striker spring and a Ghost Evo Elite connector. Now, I just said I'm not a big fan of your basic drop-in connectors. I am a fan of the Evo Elite. That connector, which everybody and their brother has tried the basic 3.5 pound drop-ins. I get that, they're cheap, it's like 15 bucks. If you're gonna get a connector, spend the extra money. It's like double the price, but spend it. Because this is a very underrated connector. There's a reason why I use this. Not only does it drop the weight of the trigger, because they changed the geometry and placement of the trigger tab. There's a little tab that rides on the trigger bar. That's what drops the sear. They changed that placement so that you have less travel before you hit that little tab, okay? They did the research. I'm piggybacking off that research, and I am including this connector for the Elite Marksman because it works. And to reduce trigger pull even farther, I've included the 4.5 pound trigger spring. That's going to give you something that is quite noteworthy, and these are the ones that I've sent out to reviewers. And that guy, let's see if we can get a good Oh, short little reset. Very crisp, very clean, the Elite Marksman, and I have to say, that guy right there is just a beautiful thing to shoot. Would I personally want to carry it? Let me show you why. It's not really something I would want to carry every day. Oh, 2.5 pounds. Two and a half pounds. And basically 2.5 pounds. For a grand total of 2.5 pounds. That's the Elite Marksman. This guy is a little bit light for me if I was going to carry it. Some of you, you've got more training than me. You like that keeping the booger hook off the bang switch. I get it. So you can carry this guy. It's all up to you. If you want to bring that up to, say, a 3.5 pound trigger pull, just leave the factory striker spring in there. That's going to give you, like I said, something a little bit heavier. The other reason why I may not want to carry this, unless you do use good ammunition, which is something I would definitely recommend. You know, don't carry Tula ammunition as your carry. Really. Spend the money, get some decent ammunition. But a 4.5 pound striker spring is something that may have trouble with certain primers. So that's why I call it the Marksman. I don't call it the carry. Now, I do have what I call the Elite Combat Trigger setup. That guy is basically the same guy, but with a different striker spring. And you say, James, are they really different trigger setups if it's just the striker spring? The answer is yes. Now, could I offer, and will I offer, just a trigger kit with all the different springs? I could. You're just looking at a little bit extra price. So if that's something you're interested in, just let me know. We'll make that happen. This is basically a Wolf, right around, they call it a 6 pound striker spring. It's really about it's close to 6 pounds. It's not quite 6 pounds. Same setup. This is the Combat Elite. And that guy, which basically has the same deal, the nice short reset as, and let's see if we can get a close-up of that guy. Alright, watch this. Watch this. Isn't that beautiful? So you're going to get same benefits as you would from the Marksman, but you're going to get it at, you're going to get it with a little bit heavier trigger pull. Right around 3 pounds there. Right around 3 pounds, 2 pounds, 13 ounces. And 2 pounds, 15 ounces. So right around a 3 pound trigger pull. I will say this. Do not use, or you could use, I recommend the factory trigger return spring, the 5 pound factory trigger return spring. You can use the 6. I don't really recommend it. You don't really need it. And for a quicker reset, you know, a nice, quick, crisp reset, leave the 5 pound trigger return spring in there. You know, your results may vary, but that's what these things are meant for. So that's what you've got here with the Tactical Pontoon trigger shoe, or trigger setup. You've got the Elite carry, 4 pound break. or 4.5 pound break. You've got the Elite Marksman, which is right around 2.5 pounds, and then you have the Elite Combat, which, as you saw, right around 3 pounds, with very beautiful, the trigger's right there. When you need it, it's right there. There's not a lot of creep. I don't have a factory Glock here to show you, but if you've shot a Glock, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've shot a CMC, you're probably still walking until, it hasn't broke yet. You're still literally traveling to that point in time. So, that's the Elite series from Tactical Pontoon. That's what we're going to offer. I am a small operation. This is something I do on the side, which means there is some build time. I will say 2 weeks is about what you're looking at when you order one of my triggers. It could take longer, it could be shorter, but 2 weeks is really what you're looking at, between making sure I have the parts in stock, getting it all modified, and then getting it shipped out. So really about 2 weeks. The website will be available to order very soon. Excel Weapon Works, Matt out there, he'll have them available on his website soon. So look forward to them coming, and just like, subscribe, tell me what you think. If there's something else you'd like to see, obviously I'm sure people would like to see their favorite shoe, and that is something that we will come out with at a later time, more than likely. So that's what we got. Let me know what you think, and really just enjoy when you get a chance to, either watch a video on one of these things, or just get a chance to get behind one. Just know that I've spent a lot of time on these, and I'm really proud of them. I really am. There's, like I said, blood, sweat, tears, and even a desk pop has gone into these triggers. So enjoy. So like, subscribe, check me out on Instagram, definitely on Instagram. So that's Tactical Pontoon for today and our Elite trigger system. Enjoy. Catch you later.